welcome. We're going to wait just a few more minutes before getting started. But in the meantime, if you can all fill out the attendance form in the chat, just so that we can keep track of who's coming to meetings. And then, if you come to enough meetings, we're going to make membership cards and have stickers and various things like that. So you'll definitely want to sign in if you're interested in participating. All right, let's get started. So yeah, welcome everyone to the first general meeting of Northeastern YDSA for the semester. Sort of our first normal general meeting, because as we will talk about later, we only got founded and only really got started after sort of the end of spring semester, after everybody got sent home. So we're super excited to kind of get back into the swing of things with a more normal-ish semester to a bit of an extent. And yeah, let's get going. So as I said before, we'd really appreciate it if you all could fill out the attendance form. It's really good for us to keep track of who comes to meetings, just so that we know what our capacity is, what sort of programming our members are interested in. And then also, we want to make membership cards, we want to make stickers and things. So if you're interested in getting those, definitely filling out the attendance forms are a great way to do that. So I'll stay on the slide for a few seconds just so that everybody can see the link. And I'm also going to put it in the chat again, just for everybody who has joined since I last did that. Great. All right, so a little bit about kind of where Northeastern YDSA came from. So this group, or sort of the spirit of this group, started with Huskies for Bernie back in fall 2019, when we formed a group to try to elect Bernie Sanders to the President of the United States. We knocked over 20,000 doors in New Hampshire. We had a pretty good tabling operation, a great canvassing operation. And we organized, a lot of students to do that. We had people including Michael Brooks, rest in peace, Brianna Joy Gray, and B. Ben and Jerry come to campus to help, get out the boat and help, drive enthusiasm. And unfortunately, as we all know, the primary did not end the way that we wanted it to. However, as socialists, as leftists, we realized that the fight is bigger than any one politician, any one campaign. And after we wrote our constitution and got it approved by DSA in May, we officially formed Northeastern YDSA. Just a picture of us with some of us with Bernie, and then from the Ben and Jerry event on campus. Anyway, moving on. So now, what is Northeastern YDSA actually? So first off, we are the official chapter of the Young Democratic Socialists of America at Northeastern. Bit of a mouthful, that's why we normally just say Northeastern YDSA. What is YDSA? Well, it's the campus section of DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. So DSA is the largest socialist organization in the United States. It currently has over 70,000 members. DSA chapters across the country organize protests, they run electoral campaigns, they do mutual aid, they work with labor unions and other progressive organizations. Basically, anywhere that there's a fight, anywhere that there is a way to advance socialist causes in the U.S., there is a DSA chapter working on it. You know, chapters in New York and Chicago have elected numerous officials to city councils and to state legislatures. You know, chapters in California are currently organizing statewide on a ballot initiative to raise taxes on the wealthy. You know, chapters in Oregon were very strongly involved with the fights against police brutality there. You know, just some examples. I could go on and on. And finally, DSA and YDSA are big tent socialist organizations. So we don't have a specific political line that we adhere to. As long as you consider yourself a socialist, or even if you're just curious about socialism and you agree with our basic principles, you're welcome here. You know, no need to worry about whether you're the right type of socialist, whether you're an anarchist, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're fine with that. So since our founding earlier this year, we've held multiple political education events, including a panel with local elected officials, organizers, and writers about the intersection of capitalism and the coronavirus. We had a discussion on police abolition, and we've done a number of other things. So we spearheaded the creation of the NU Care Coalition, which some of you may have heard of, to try to fight for a fairer and more equitable campus reopening. And, you know, credit to groups like Sunrise and PSA for working on, with us on that. We successfully managed to get Northeastern to do several things, including not use the Safe Zone app associated with Northeastern Police Department to gain access to campus buildings for the fall semester. And that is something they were doing over the summer. And, you know, we think it was student pressure that encouraged them to not do that. Also, through our electoral working group, we've helped elect a number of DSA candidates around the country, including right here in the Boston area. And getting back to our guiding principles, those are democracy, solidarity, equality, liberty, and justice. And we'll get a bit more into what those mean and what they mean to us later. So now we're going to go into breakouts. Just because there are too many people in this meeting to really do introductions with all of us, we're going to go into breakout rooms with about 7 people each. And you know, I'll put all this information in the chat so that you can see it in the room, but just try to remember doing name, pronouns, major, year, and hometown, and anything else you want to say. And then our icebreaker question is, if you had to get rid of ice cream, cake, or pie forever, which one would it be and why, if you want to give an explanation? So the next part of the meeting is just going to be kind of a brief explanation of the general principles that I touched on earlier. I don't actually remember what they all are in that order, but you will see them very shortly. Josh, you're presenting, right?
Julia's doing the first thing.
Okay, sorry. All right, so Juli, if you just want to take over.
Sure, yeah. So what is democratic socialism? Let's find out more about it, I guess. Okay, so for the first tenet of like democratic socialism, we have democracy. It is the first word, so it is the first one. So basically, democracy, what it means for us is it's more. Oh, sorry, it's more than simply fair and just elections. So, you know, it's YDSA does a lot of electoral work, but we do a lot more than that. So what we're seeking is the society and the economy should be run democratically by the working class to meet public needs, not to make profit for a few oligarchs and aristocrats. Sorry, there's a typo, but basically, you know, it should be controlled by the people, like the way the economy and society is run. It shouldn't be just by a few corporations or really powerful people up in government. So social and economic decisions should be made by those who are most affected by them. If you're being impacted by something, you know, you should really have the power and the right to make the decisions that will help you get out of that situation and just have a better quality of life. And this includes, democracy for us includes democratic control in the workplace as well. So worker-owned and worker-operated companies and organizations, just like Northeastern YDSA. I mean, every member, no matter if you're part of the central committee or if you're not, your vote counts and your voice counts. So that's what it means to be a worker member-owned operated organization. There's also some companies that run this way, or like not companies. So like one cool one that I found is in Massachusetts called Equal Exchange. It's a worker co-op. So basically what it means is that every worker in that company owns or else doesn't own, has a vote, so that everybody has the same voice, no matter if you're like a farmer, because they make like they produce organic products, or if you're, you know, someone like doing like their finances or whatever it is they're doing.
So if I could just add to sort of what democracy means to us. So in addition to like Northeastern YDSA being very democratic, YDSA as a whole also takes democracy very seriously. So, you know, the people who run YDSA at like a national level are not staffers. I mean, there are staffers, but like they're not the ones who make political decisions. They're not the ones who make organizational decisions. Every year, all YDSA chapters, you know, elect delegates based on the size of their chapters to a convention, where, you know, resolutions are actually voted on and passed, and then that's like the binding, that's binding for the organization. So unlike a lot of other kind of like activism organizations, YDSA is fully like member run, fully democratic, and you know, as a member of YDSA or DSA, like you are the people who actually make the decisions in the organization.
Yep, thanks, Jordan. And up next, we have solidarity. So for us, solidarity is a verb. So this means that instead of performative allyship, we take actions that seek to advance the living conditions of all working people. This can include partaking in strike support, attending and organizing protests, materially supporting communities struggling against structural violences created by capitalism, political education, trainings, and more. Next week, we're actually working to host a kind of training political education event on like eviction protection and tenants' rights. So that's kind of like part of what solidarity means for us. And we also really strive to form the bonds of solidarity necessary to build a working class that fights for itself. If we don't overcome our own internal struggles, we will not be able to achieve worker solidarity. And then last one, for me at least, it's equality. All of us have equal worth regardless of our background. You know, that means race, gender, your gender expression, orientation, socioeconomic status, education level, like whatever your background is, like everyone's equal, like everyone's treated equally and has the same, you know, rights, or deserves the same rights. We also work to empower the working class from the shackles of the capitalist system and create an equitable distribution of resources. So I know equity and equality always like gets a little confusing, but equitable, we mean that, you know, if someone, we wouldn't just hand out the same to everyone. If someone has less of whatever that resource is, we would work to make sure that they get to a point where they can match everyone else. You just kind of hand out, or like not hand out, if you kind of work to just give the same to everyone in whatever like resource you're talking about, then you're not really looking at the issue of the people who are most impacted. And lastly, equality also means being part of the fight for racial and gender equality, which is an ongoing fight, always. And up next we have Josh, I believe, for something.
Yeah, so the next tenet of democratic socialism that we believe that is extremely important to organize around is that of liberty. One of the most fundamental goals of democratic socialists is to root out all forms of oppression at every single level that they exist. This pretty much can be fleshed out in many different ways, and as you probably noticed, like all the different tenets kind of overlap with each other. So an eventual goal of democratic socialism is to exploit all work that, or to eliminate all work that is exploitative. When you guarantee people the basic necessities that increase their standards of living, and you provide them a free and equal education, and you compensate them fairly for their labor, rather than them being forced into a certain path or position by the capitalist system or by what some rich person thinks is best for you to do, you're able to explore activities and work that you desire the most. And lastly, in terms of liberty, we organize to eliminate all racist and carceral institutions across the planet. So one of the things that we've had a political education event about in the past was abolishing the police. And part of the reason we talk about doing such a thing is because the police exist as an institution to oppress people of color and to protect the capitalist class. The military-industrial complex, as you know, the only way that they exist is if there's continual war across the globe, and by doing that, they just continue to create poor conditions for those people while they make a profit. And this is part of the reason why we say that democratic socialism is not social democracy, because in social democracies, while they do certainly have better conditions than your standard place like the United States, at the end of the day, the reason that they are doing well is because they still operate under a system that relies on the exploitation of people abroad. I know that recently it was either Norway or Finland announced that they were very close to achieving 100% renewable energy use, but the only way that they're doing that is by selling all the oil they produce to other countries to use. So even though they might be living in a decent situation, it still relies on the exploitation of people abroad. In a socialist society, there is no exploitation like that. So yeah, pretty much it's just liberating all people from all shackles that hold them down. We can go into the next one now. So the last tenet that we have of democratic socialism is justice. Pretty much what this means is that everything that we do cannot leave people behind. Because if we advance one group of people and leave other people behind, it just increases the disparities that have existed for a long time. So all the work that we do must close disparities and eliminate barriers that have been created by centuries of institutional and systemic racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and xenophobia, every form of oppression. So two examples of this would be any progress that we make in the climate and environment must address the disparities created by environmental racism, and any progress made in the abolition of the prison industrial complex must also advance the democratic control and standards of living of biracial, indigenous, and people of color. Because the prison industrial complex is very bad and we get rid of it, that will stop the further oppression of those people. But if we get rid of that while not addressing all the harm that has been done while it was there, then our mission is not complete. And so it's important that everything we do brings justice to the harms that have been done while we get rid of the systems that are creating future harms. All right, so right now, just in preparation for our next breakout group, I'm gonna tell everyone why I personally am a strong proponent and organizer for democratic socialism, and then after this, we're gonna go into a breakout group, and everyone is going to discuss why why politics is personal to them. So essentially, if you know anything about me, you know, you come to a lot of meetings, you get your membership card, you'll get to know, because I say it all the time, that I'm from Miami. And my friends like to make fun of me a lot when I say that I'm from Miami. It's like, they'll come up to me and be like, Josh, are you from Florida? You're from Miami, aren't you? And I'll be like, haha, yes. So I can't, in a way, I'm kind of like one-dimensional in that everything I talk about, I'll bring back to Miami at some point or another. But the reason I do that is because Miami is very close to my heart. As I was growing up, I moved around many times. I think I've kind of lost count because I'm not sure I can remember every single place I've ever lived, but I have moved about 17 times and I've gone to 11 different schools. I've never really had a place that I could genuinely say was my home until I found my friends and my community in Miami. There were 2 years of my life in Miami where I was homeless. Didn't know where I was going to get food. I didn't know I didn't know where I was gonna live. I didn't, like, sometimes I would wake up and I would have rats running by me. Um, and you know, sometimes like while I'm going through all of this, I still have to go to school. There's really no system there that really like makes sure that I'm doing okay. Um, like I would be going to school on a sunny day in Florida, and there would be high tides and the roads would be underwater. And I remember when I was younger, that just wasn't a thing that happened. And I know in my lifetime, Miami will probably stop existing. It just will be underwater if we don't do anything about it. Um, so the reason I say I love Miami so much is because my the community, not the government, like not the politicians and the bureaucrats and all the rich people in Florida, but the community around me, they all came together. And while they didn't literally say it, it showed. They said, you know, we love you and we're going to be there for you and we're going to help you through whatever situation comes at you. And that has personally affected me so deeply because I know it's shown to me that humans are not by nature greedy. Humans are not by nature some cruel force. It shows that the community is there for you. And I I'm lucky in the fact that my parents were finally able to get a home. Now, the reason why it took 2 years for us to finally get a home was because you need to have a good credit score to be approved for a place to live in, to rent out a house or an apartment. But every time you apply, your credit score goes down. And so every time you get rejected, you have to apply somewhere else, and your credit score is lower now, and it just keeps spiraling downwards. So even if you have the money to pay off 3 months of rent, they just won't let you live there. And that just plays into the capitalist system of making money off of your property on stuff that you own rather than making money off of the work that you do. Um, that's a very simplified explanation, but um, point is the reason I'm involved in democratic socialism is because I know that I'm lucky. And I know that there are people around me who are not as lucky. One of my friends has grown up not knowing if he'll be sent back to South America because he's an undocumented immigrant. Um, every day walking down the streets, you see all these people who are asking for money and are being brutalized by the police, while at the same time in Sunny Isles Beach, there are all these apartments that are empty and people are just making money off of it because they use it as a tax haven, their apartments. They just leave them empty. Like I know in America there are enough homes to house everyone, like every single homeless person. But the reason we don't address these things is because in the interest of capitalism, you just maximize profits and find the most efficient outcome, not the most moral outcome. Anyone who's in my breakout group room knows now that I'm a political science and economics major, and I can tell you I hate the econ part of my major because it is so immoral. Every single professor I've ever had, when we get onto a conversation, about like healthcare, they'll say, you know, it's really important that we insure everyone, but if it's not the most efficient outcome, then it's just not the way to go. And that's the way that the minds of the current people in power think. So I'm gonna stop rambling on. It's always something when I try to talk about my past, but yeah.
You're not
So
rambling on. You're doing a great job.
thank you, Elisa. Um, but yeah, politics is very personal to me because when I'm struggling, other people come to help me, and when other people are struggling, it hurts us too. We're all interconnected, and so it's really important that we fight for each other. and fight for an equal society where people can do what they want and not be forced to work in unsafe conditions and live on the street. So yeah, I think I'm done for now.
All right, yeah, thank you so much, Josh, for sharing your story. You know, I'm sure that like a lot of us, maybe not as drastic as yours, but I'm sure that a lot of us have like similar stories about why we care about politics, why we consider ourselves socialists or anything like that. And, you know, like Josh said, we are now going to move into breakout groups to have a chance to continue discussing that. So here are the questions that we would like people to be discussing in the breakout groups. Obviously, you know, we can't stop you from just talking about whatever you want, but we hope that these will provide like a good jumping off point. So how is politics personal to you? What drew you to learn more about democratic socialism? And what specific changes do you think are necessary to achieve socialism? Or like what would be a good starting point? Unfortunately, we did have to move a couple people around between the rooms because we messed up and started one room with 3 people in it last time. So sorry if you like the people in your room and you're in a different room now. But if you want to keep talking to them, keep coming to YDSA meetings and organize with YDSA. So I'm going to start the breakout rooms now. And Maya, if you just want to take it away.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm the chair of the electoral working group for Northeastern's YDSA. And so basically, a lot of the electoral work that we do right now is very virtual because obviously our founding started during the COVID-19 pandemic. But we basically, what we do is we decide what candidates we want to support. We mainly support a lot of progressive left-leaning candidates. We try to do a lot of DSA endorsed candidates specifically, but generally a lot of left-leaning progressive candidates. And we hold weekly phone banks for them to virtually canvass for them because it's not really safe to knock on doors right now. So we hold lots of phone banks every week. And so some of the races that we've supported, we started with very big races. Like we did a lot of work for Ed Markey's campaign for Senate for Massachusetts. We also did some seats for the House, like for Rashida Tlaib and for Jen Peralman. And later we realized that, you know, it's probably, we can also concentrate our power into smaller races and we can build power that way, because the main goal of electoral work is to, you know, build democratic socialism's influence on the electoral stage and have our voices represented in that way. So one of the best ways that we can do it is by starting to concentrate on the smaller races, more municipal races, and, you know, build power in that way by gaining numbers. And so we also worked with Erica Uterhoven's campaign for state rep in the 27th Middlesex District in Somerville. And yeah, 4 of the 5 candidates that we worked with in the last election cycle won their primaries. So we are very proud of the electoral work that we've done. And we've also co-hosted some of our phone banks with other groups on campus like Sunrise Northeastern. And yeah, so if you would like to get involved with electoral work, you can join the electoral working group Slack channel, where I will be posting different things we'll get involved with. We're thinking about doing a ballot initiative this upcoming semester, and potentially some other municipal races. So yeah, feel free to get involved.
Hey
Oh,
everyone.
I'm gonna just reshare this quickly to get the cool graphics on.
There we go. Okay. So you guys all heard from me. My name's Josh. So pretty much the communications working group doesn't meet regularly like other working groups do, but we absolutely can if people are interested in doing that. But pretty much what the communications working group does is we create graphics to promote events. We create informational and educational graphics. This is something we haven't done yet, but I've already had a few people express interest in helping and create like informational videos in the style of like Quiz Gazette or Vox, just that kind of like graphic thing where you have just a sweet, simple video which makes the concept very easy for people to understand. So you could imagine where we were going through that what is socialism section of our presentation that could be replaced with a video that we would play for people instead. We also communicate with other organizations on campus. That's more of like the communication side of communications and less the digital side. So we just kind of coordinate, make sure everything goes smoothly with other orgs. We track and grow membership. So like with the membership form that I sent out, we do stuff like that just to make sure that everyone is accounted for, and also we attempt to increase the amount of people that come. We also produce weekly emails. This is something that most organizations do. You might have seen at the last email, you know, I just plugged this meeting. I wrote a little nice message at the bottom. If you guys have not been getting our emails, please check your junk mail because sometimes they go there. But yeah, at the end of the meeting, we're going to send out a general interest form. And based off of how you fill that out, like we'll have people reach out to you to see which working groups you would want to get involved with. And you get to see some of the graphics that we've made, like the voting guide, which I think we're all really proud of doing.
Hi, everyone. My name is David, and I am the chair of the Political Education Working Group. So the Political Education Group has three main goals every week, or three main goals generally. We're going to choose the weekly, or now it's bi-weekly reading that is discussed at general meetings, and we will be leading those discussions. So if you've been to any of our meetings over the summer, you know that we generally open our general meetings with some sort of reading that is shared in the Slack, and we start with like a 20 to 30 minute conversation about this reading. That's so we're always kind of keeping up with, it's generally a current events type thing from a socialist perspective, and it's a way that we are always engaged in our like political education and keeping up with how to understand and read the news from this type of perspective. We are going to be organizing a bunch of internal and external political education events. We did two over the summer. One was a discussion about police abolition, and one was a panel about coronavirus and capitalism. And then for the rest of the semester, we're going to be doing a lot more like that. We're going to be having a book club, which I'll discuss in a second. We'll be doing some film viewings, discussions. It can be anything from a big presentation about police abolition, like we did on that day, or to something like maybe one of you has a lot of direct experience organizing in a certain area, and you want to come to us and present on what you've learned, and maybe help recruit. So it's nothing too specific, just any topics or organizing experience. We want to share our knowledge with everyone, and hopefully that makes us a stronger and more solidified group. And yeah, we'll be meeting every other Wednesday starting tomorrow at 7, but that is subject to change, so keep an eye on that.
Yes, definitely. If you're interested in getting involved with any of the working groups, make sure that you're in the Slack, and hopefully Josh could send a link to join the Slack in the chat, because that's where all of our stuff is organized.
So next is the book club, the Boston Socialist Book Club. So we wanted to start a book club as in our first semester as a YDSA, and this is going to be a book club for not just us, but for all the other groups around Boston as well. So you'll be able to meet people from all around, other students from around the city, and establish relationships. Obviously, this is all virtual and everything. And we thought, since this is our first semester, and we might get a lot of people who are curious about socialism but not 100% sure, or they're you know, we all can learn more about like the fundamentals and everything. We're going to be reading Jacobin's The ABCs of Socialism, which is a series of like essays and articles about various topics in socialism and sort of like socialist history, and how you know, so many important things that we have kind of come to see as like, you know, common, like everyday like rights in like 2020, like maybe like a 9-to-5 job or something, have all been, you know, have all been created on the backs of like organizing by socialists. So it's sort of a book that kind of goes through history and general concepts, and it's a really nice like intro to, if you really have no idea what any of this is all about. So please sign up there. It's going to meet every other Wednesday starting next Wednesday. So you'll see it's every Wednesday there's a political education meeting. One Wednesday it'll just be like an event or a meeting, and the other Wednesday it'll be book club. So yeah, if you want to get in the political education group, please join the Slack. We have a lot of work this semester, so could really use all of the help we could need. Thanks.
And in addition, I believe that, David, there are also meetings for the political education working group on Thursdays to plan these events. Or are those on Wednesdays and the events are on Thursdays? I forgot.
I believe they're on Thursdays, but
okay.
We'll
yeah, so
double check that.
Yeah, so just to repeat, the political education events are on Wednesdays, alternating with the book clubs and the kind of meetings for the political education working group are on Thursdays. However, all this information, again, will be in the Slack. It's also on our calendar on our website at neuyDSA.org. So you can go check it out there.
Also, if you want to join the political education group, you do not have to come to like every single one of those. I know that sounds like it's a lot of meetings, so don't feel pressure like you have to come to all of them. You can just come to whatever you're interested in, or if there's a specific topic we're doing an event on that you have expertise in, then maybe come to the organizing meeting for that one. You don't have to feel like you have to come to 3 meetings a week or whatever. So just want to put
and that
out
applies to everything that we do. Don't feel like, you know, to be a member you have to come to everything. You know, it's way more important that you're involved at like the level you're comfortable at. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So next we have a little Kahoot that we prepared, hopefully to make the end of the meeting more enjoyable. So Maya, I'll just let you take over that. Also, there will be a prize for the top 3 finishers of the Kahoot. That will most likely be a face mask. That's to be determined.
If you join the communications working group, you can help me design that face mask.
Well, I just meant the national ones that they're going to send us, but that
Maybe
too.
we can make personalized ones with your name on it. I don't know.
It's also like 300,000 more in like other compensations. People in my breakout room will know this.
All right, so yeah, if you finish in the top three, just like message me on Zoom or on Slack or something, so I can keep track of that, and you will get your face mask at some point once I receive them. So yeah, that is, oh, okay. There is one more thing to do during this meeting, which, you know, have to do during every meeting. You don't have to, but I want to, which is to tell people to join DSA/YDSA officially. Currently, you don't actually have to be a member of DSA or YDSA at a national level to be a member of Northeastern YDSA. You know, to run in elections and things, you just have to come to 3 meetings that semester or something like that. However, you know, I will say that joining DSA is basically a no-brainer for anyone who considers themselves a socialist. Like, as socialists, we know that you have to build a mass base of people to, you know, achieve any real change. And, you know, DSA isn't there yet, but we're a hell of a lot closer than any American socialist group has been basically for 100 years. So you can join by going to that link. The YDSA dues rate is $20 a year, I believe. And some of that money goes back to us to help us pay for things. It also pays for the YDSA staffers who, you know, help us in other ways. If money is an issue for anyone, that is not a problem at all. On that page, there is a link to fill out a different form that lets you join for free. It has to be a different form because of the way the payment processing works, but you know, have exactly the same privileges as someone who actually pays dues. We don't know the difference. Literally, no one knows the difference. So even if you don't want to pay or you can't pay, I would highly encourage everyone on the call right now to sign up to be a DSA member. It gives you, you know, a personal stake and a vote in the future of the American Socialist movement. And there's also like a cool newspaper magazine thing that gets sent to you every quarter, and you also get a little membership card. So yeah, that's my dues pitch. And yeah, that's the end of the meeting, but thank you so much to everyone for coming. Definitely stay in touch. We're on Twitter and Instagram at NEU YDSA with an underscore between them. We have a Facebook page too. Just look up Northeastern YDSA. And again, join our Slack at neuydsA.slack.com/signup. And in addition to that, if you join the Slack, we'll reach out to you at some point. But to make things easier, if you could also fill out our interest form, which hopefully Josh can put in this the chat, then one of our like core organizers will reach out to you personally. You know, based on like, you know, if you say you're interested in graphic design and communications, Josh will reach out to you. If you want to help with political education, David will reach out to you just to like help you get plugged in, see what you're interested in, and yeah, just make sure that everyone feels welcome. So again, that's the end of the meeting. I don't think there's anything else. However, if anyone has questions for any of us or just wants to stick around on the meeting, feel free to do that. Otherwise, yeah, we will see some of you at our next event.